Hey string slingers, it's that guitar guy Frank Spear back with you. Today I want to show you something really cool. Hopefully we're always doing that. And this is a way to solo, to play lead guitar off this simple D shape. We've talked about this a little bit before in other videos, but not like we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to show you a whole mess of ways to solo off this one shape. And the great thing about it is it's movable. So if you're soloing over a D chord and you use this shape to play these licks I'm going to show you, and then you say you move to a G chord, you move up here and you play the G form of this chord, and then you use the licks that I show you around that form, right? And then if you go to A, you move it up a whole step and you play the licks around there. And you could simply just use this form to solo all over the entire fingerboard, because I'm going to show you about 10 or 12 different things you can do with it. So let's get into it right now. Okay, today we're going to be playing over a simple G chord vamp, and we're going to use this D form of a G chord right here. Right? So you've got a G, you've got the B, which is the third, and you've got a D, which is the fifth. So you've got you've got a G major chord right here. So over this G chord, we're going to use this form, and we're going to do all kinds of cool tricks and licks and sticks over this thing, okay? So let's get to it. First thing you want to do is just play the simple chord and slide into it from a half step below or a half step above. Let's check that out. What we did there is we used the whole chord and we moved it down a half step and then we slid into it. You can come in from a half step above. You can come in from a whole step. A whole step. Then you could take just a partial. These two notes, the root and the third, and slide into those. Take these two notes here, the root and the fifth. You can do both. Let's see how that sounds. Kind of a Batman theme, the old Batman 60s show. That was kind of funky. Let's talk about arpeggiating the chord, playing single notes, the single notes of the chord. And then let's add in some notes around the chord. All those notes we can use. I played them slowly, deliberately, so you can check them out. Let's arpeggiate that chord. And throw in some extra notes and see what we get. Now, if you were moving from the D chord to a G chord in a progression. Doesn't matter. Name the chords. It doesn't matter. If you were moving around, say from a G chord, right, to a C chord, to a D chord, you could use this form of the G when you're soloing over the G chord. When you went to the C, you'd slide up here. That's the C form. Wherever this note is, that's the root. Like your D chord down here, there's your D. Here's your C. Here's your G. Here's your D. Here's your D. So then you would just move around with these licks, mix them and match them, right? Play one of the licks off of the G chord, and then when the C chord comes around, arpeggiate a little. When the D chord comes around, you throw in a bunch of the other stuff I'm going to show you, and you just keep moving around the fingerboard with this single shape, and you can make a career out of it. I swear to God. Let's bend a bit. You've got this shape. We can suspend the chord by putting the pinky in. Let's bend this note up to this note. Then we've got the root note here, G. We'll bend from a half step down into that note. From a half step down, we're going to bend into each note. And you got to use your ear to hear it. You can also do it from a whole step down and bend into the note if you'd like. So we're going to bend into these three notes. And then you can also take this note, it's the suspended note here, and bend up here to the D, which is the fifth. You can take this note, G, bend it up to the A, which would be the 9. You could take the 9 and bend it up here to the 3rd, the B. You can take this D and bend it up to the 6th, the E. Take this E, bend it up to the G. Now let's use some double stops and some bends where we grab other notes. Double stops are two notes played simultaneously. As such, like we talked about before, sliding in. You've got these. Let me show you these slowly because they're amazing to use. Little Hendrix there. And of course, you could keep going up with these, right? Let's fool around with those. You can also bend and grab some. Here's a really cool pedal steelish one. It's the form of the chord, right? It's the D shape of the G chord. Let's take this note, G, and the 5th D, and let's bend that D up to the E. So we're bending the 5 up to the 6, and we're getting this. you combine those. And if you use a volume pedal and get some swells, let's screw around with this stuff. You can also grab for some of the funkier notes, right? Like mix them up. Right? That's a very cool sound. Okay, we can also mess around with what we call permutations, which are patterns, repeated patterns. So for example, you would take, let's look at the major scale for a second to demonstrate this. You would take, so they're note groupings, right? And you would progress up the scale in that pattern. So the first 3 notes, then the second 3 notes, then the third 3 notes, and so forth, like this. And so forth up the scale. You can do thousands upon thousands of permutations, right? Mixing up the notes. We're going to do a whole separate video on that. But you can just come up with them on your own, right? The first 2 notes. 4. Right? And these give you these patterns and you get cool ideas that are born out of the patterns. You can jump around in fourths and fifths, like fifths. 1, 5. Next note in the 5th. Third note in the 5th, right? You can jump around like that throughout the scale. You can do it in fourths. Right? So if you take this little pattern we've been talking about off the G chord and you play something like, and come up with your own patterns, you can get some pretty cool stuff. Let's mess around with that one right there. That's a cool one. So the last idea we're going to look at today is pull-offs. There are some really cool pull-off options right here. Let's take a look at them. All right, so we're back at this shape, of course, where we've been the entire time. And we're looking at... That's a cool one. So it's... We've got that one, right? We've got this one. That's a cool one. We've got this one. So we've got... Can also do this one. And you can grab these two together. Let's try these out. Mix them up. All right, string slingers, plenty of tips and tricks there off that one single shape. And remember, move them around as the chord changes. Find that chord shape for the chord you're playing over and try out those licks. Mix them and match them over. You're going to get a lot of mileage out of this. Check out the links in the description below for some cool gear. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.